Hey yo guys, I'm back here to give you my thoughts on some of the news items that have taken place over this past week. Comparing this with other weeks in news, not that big news. I mean, there's been some important things, but when you compare it to just like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, not that big of a news week. But unfortunately, the first piece of news that I'm gonna share your light, spread some light on you on, which I'm sure most of you know, but may not see the significance, but that's because you didn't grow up in the Toronto area, would be the passing of Billy Red Lyons, who was a professional wrestler during the the 50s, 60s, and 70s, who mainly worked with the Tunnies in Maple Leaf Wrestling and around, in Hamilton and the Buffalo area. He also went over to Japan and was, a pretty solid worker. That's basically what the main territories he worked. He, of course, went over to Japan, worked there a while. He had some success, in the tag team ranks. He was more known for his in-ring qualities as a tag worker, teaming with the likes of Red Bass Steen, the Destroyer, and Dewey Robertson, who later went on to become, of course, the Missing Link, one of the more infamous gimmicks in pro wrestling. Many of you may not may think this is important, but for the Toronto area, which for a territory, in Canada, I would probably have to put it as the second biggest in Canada, behind Stampede in Calgary, just because the talent that they brought in eventually in Maple Leaf. A lot of them had talent, but they had a lot of strong talent, from, around the world, and some good local talent as well. And just the fact that, during the boom, Maple Leaf eventually got, had some strong working agreements. Of course, they worked hand in hand with the Crockett's, but then, Crockett fucked over the Tunnies by sending them shitty talent, and then the Tunnies abandoned the Crockett's and went over to Vince McMahon and the WWF, and hence the strong relationship, and why Jack Tunney was over on WWF television as the president of the World Wrestling Federation. I mean, he still did promoting, but anyways, that's besides the point here. Most fans, currently today will remember Billy Red as the interviewer during the big 80s boom, when, of course, they still shot for local stuff, and the thing that I will have to say the WWF did smart was they kept the people who were watching the product, and now it was an influx of the WWF, which was now going to be more mainstream, but they kept the local territory guys like Billy Red Lyons and what have you, just to stick around and keep that that older audience that's like, well, what the heck is this? And they're like, well, I trust Billy Red, I like him. He was a strong interviewer. He could carry an interview for guys that couldn't cut a promo that well, or he was just that great presence to be around the microphone. And he was also one of the most well-caring and family-oriented guys in the history of the business. So I want to give my thoughts on there. And of course, like any great interviewer, he had a catchphrase, and I think this is kind of interesting because, of course, Gordon Solie had a catchphrase, and many others had catchphrases, but, in the wrestling business, in the 90s, of course, wrestlers and promos had catchphrases, but Billy Red had a catchphrase, just before hyping up every card. He made every freaking card that would come from the WWF to the Maple Leaf Gardens seem like the most important card ever, with his Don't You Dare Miss It show. It's like, well, how the hell can I miss it if Billy Red's telling me I can't miss this? So that's just, an unfortunate death, someone with that, knowledge, and just the fact that how well he was received in the business, so he'll be definitely missed. Moving along, one of the things I wanted to talk about is the Setanta TV issue in the UK, and this means there will of course be no more UFC on Setanta. Their UFC right now is looking to find a new partner for their United Kingdom, Ireland, that what have you. Obviously, Ireland is in the United Kingdom as well, but still, what I'm saying here, with the fact that Setanta, in the right now, because of the global economic meltdown we're having, the biggest industry really that's being hit with this is television. Of course, you know, you can just, if you just look at the wrestling business with, well, just really the combat sports business with television, it's been a tough year. Like, look at Japan, they had to cut pro wrestling in general, which was a staple of NTV in Japan. You know, the longest running program that network had, they had to cut it for cost purposes so the network could stay alive. If here in Canada, one of the, you know, bigger networks, which is global, they're in the hole like $4 billion. That's not a good thing. I mean, television right now is being hit hard. I mean, tons of jobs are being lost over this. Now Setanta is, you know, at least in England, it's gonna cease to operate. I mean, they had their thing was you know, they're running their contract with the English Premier League and the Scottish Premier League was up. Of course, those leagues wanted, you know, a lot of money to be upped up. Setanta couldn't have that. You know, the UFC isn't really a big factor in there. I mean, their contract was running out, and they were like, well, we don't know how long this network is, you know, plus this network wasn't, you know, looking to survive that well. And top of that with, you know, the rights fees that the English Premier League and the Scottish Premier League wanted to throw down didn't make things, you know, seem great there. And then unfortunately, Setanta, at least in England, will no longer be able to operate. You know, the UFC, they canceled their contract just this week, or Tuesday at least. You know, at least Setanta was able to get the last event out there, which was UFC 99, of course, which took place in Germany. So, you know, the UFC's quickly trying to find a new partner in England, and I'm pretty sure it'll be on Sky or something of that nature, because, you know, Setanta really helped rebrand the UFC or the mixed martial art fan to their product, since, you know, the UFC left England after there was a whole incident after the Brawl at Albert Hall show, Brawl at the Hall show. So they had to, you know, they'd actually set up the UFC as a brand and MMA as a sport there, went over there, did a show. There was an unfortunate incident with a street fight that went on, and then they just, you know, took all their television away, and, you know, they came back during the start of the new MMA, or the big MMA boom in late 2005, 2006. So, you know, the UFC really needs to get a television network quickly, and I'm pretty sure they will, because they're right now one of the hottest brands in sports in general. So that's just something I think they would do. But, you know, it's an unfortunate thing for Setanta. You know, it just really shows that the state of the economic climate right now, and like I've made mention, you know, television is being hit extremely hard. You know, we're not sure how well networks are going to survive. I mean, look at my network TV. You know, they have to cut all their original programming. They're only airing reruns just to survive. I mean, and, you know, it leaves SmackDown in question to be there. So, you know, just television right now is not a really safe job opportunity. But, you know, it's something, it's actually a field I'm looking to get into. But then again, you know, hopefully the economic downturn will be turned around by then. And I'm pretty sure it will, but I'm just saying right now, television's not a good thing. Anyways, I guess speaking of television, Raw had a massive rating. I mean, Raw scored a 4.5, and, you know, this is mainly because you had Donald Trump, who really was the main contributor to this, as, you know, just the name Donald Trump with your television show, and plus the fact that people actually thought that Donald Trump did buy Raw, which is just fucking insane. Help, you know, bring some curiosity to the show. Also, it'd be USA sending out, hey, we're doing our show commercial free. That's obviously going to intrigue fans to, you know, tune in. Doesn't really help with the network as a whole, because they really didn't make any money off commercials and ad revenue, which is a big thing in television. That's how the networks make money. So, I mean, hopefully USA doesn't continue to do this, or they do it, like, once a year. Like, now, like, maybe in the summertime when people really don't watch as much television. Like, you really don't want to be doing this at the frickin' big times, you know, when, you know, when fall seasons kick off, and around Christmas time when a lot of people watch more television. So, hopefully they don't do that. But, you know, overall, I thought the Raw show was okay. I actually was pretty good. I thought Triple H and Orton had a decent match. I mean, it kind of paled off towards the end. SmackDown 6-Man was good. And, you know, the Trump McMahon segment was really good. You actually did think that they were trying to build up an angle, but, you know, this whole angle really didn't have that much legs to stand on, as Trump really wouldn't be there. And this, when they made the suggestion that they'd have celebrities every week, it would just get stale by week 3. So, you know, it's probably for the best that they cut it off there. Well, that's just my thoughts on that. Moving on here, Ring of Honor. Yes, they, of course, had their last pay-per-view on, you know, in demand and pay-per-view in the States as well as Canada, which, you know, it was a good pay-per-view, I have to say that, but, you know, now they're looking for a new deal. I mean, really, the pay-per-view deal with them wasn't that great. I mean, you had to wait and wait and wait, and then, you know, by the time, you know, at least now, and at least this year, you know, by the time the previous pay-per-view had aired, you'd completely forgotten what would happen, and, you know, even if you follow the product, like I and many others do, you know, you just know that there's been major changes and stuff of that nature, so it just really wasn't the best deal for them, and really, ROH couldn't really use tape pay-per-view anymore. I mean, you have a television show where, you know, you're going to get your angles and your talent over more so than you need pay-per-view. Pay-per-views now you have television to get big match. Now, your television network isn't watched by as many as, you know, let's say TNA on Spike or like that, but still you have a strong fan base and anything like that. So, you know, it looks like ROH, well, the rumor going around is that they will be potentially doing a live pay-per-view for the Final Battle show, which, to me, I would have no problem with it. You know, you gotta roll the dice once in a while, and I think if ROH rolls the dice on Final Battle, which is always a great show, or, you know, if they do any of their, like, shows in New York, which are usually really great, may as well go for it. I mean, it's going to be just some good in-ring stuff, and, you know, ROH always likes to end their year, like they're going to Final Battle 2009, they always, or 2008, whatever, they always like to end on a strong note, so I think that's something they should shoot for. Now, Dragon Gate, of course, took over the ROH deal with G-Funk, but I think this works for them better because, you know, Dragon Gate USA is really just 3 shows, a show every 3 months. So you tape your pay-per-view, and the thing is, that's how you can actually follow it. You know, for $15, you can follow the show, or the DGUSA stuff, you know, pretty straightforward. You don't have to, you know, have plot holes in it like ROH had because of this crappy deal for them. It was a crappy deal for them. For Dragon Gate, I think it'll work more because you have, you know, less shows, and you get to just follow the product constantly. That's why I think it will work more. I think the in-ring stuff will be pretty good. I think it should be a nice combination of the Japanese guys as well as the independent guys and, you know, well-known guys. I mean, I think the thing that's good for them is, you know, Danielson's working the show, and a lot of people are like, well, isn't he an ROH guy? Yeah, but he's working without a contract, so he's not breaching any contract. I mean, he can take as many dates as he wants. He probably will work the show. That's, of course, in a month or so. It's actually a month today, July 25. Of course, he right now is dealing with a staph infection injury, but anyways, that's just beside the point. But I think it'll work better with Dragon Gate. And some other MMA news, Affliction decided to cut Andre Arlofski. Really, I mean, you could see this coming. I mean, ever since, you know, the Fedor loss and the fact that, you know, he had interest in pursuing another sport, and then, you know, he just loses in pretty quick fashion to Brett Rogers. That's just not a good thing there. I mean, you really couldn't brand the guy as a badass, and, you know, I don't know how much of his heart was into MMA anymore. I mean, he keeps training with the likes of Michael Moore and Freddie Roach, so maybe a boxing career, but really with that type of chin that he's really demonstrated that type of chin through, you know, the Tim Sylvia fights, but that's just my thoughts on that at nature. And of course, we have a pay-per-view this weekend, Ultimate Chaos, Bobby Lashley, Bob Sapp, don't forget that. And of course, the one fight that I'm just stunt they're doing is the Tom Atencio fight. I mean, this just makes Affliction's owner look like he's doing anything to get freaking attention for his company. Hence, the Affliction falls towards a kind of a TNA aspect. We'll just do anything. Hey, we're over here. So that's just my gripe. I mean, it doesn't make your company look that good when your owner is fighting. It doesn't make you guys come off professional. So that's just what I wanted to say. But anyways, one quick note. If someone could make me a banner, like a logo or something, that would be cool. You'll get a name credit or anything like that. But yeah, that's it for me. I'm out. Peace.